My brother called me at 6 a.m. crying, demanding money for his stepson. And when he said it would be on me if the boy suffered, I finally said the three words I should have said years ago. Call your husband. There was a long silence after that. Not the kind filled with confusion, but the kind that cracks something open. I was still standing by the kitchen sink, cold tea untouched, the sky outside barely turning blue. His voice had started soft, shaky, then sharpened into accusation, like I owed him, like I had always owed him. In the background, I could hear someone else moving, drawers opening, a door slamming. Not a sick child, not urgency, just chaos. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about help. It was about habit. Because for years, I had been the quiet solution to his loud problems. I'm the older one, but you wouldn't know it by how things have always worked between us. My brother Sammy has a way of turning every room into his stage. Growing up, he was the loud one, the charming one, the one people rushed to fix things for. I was the opposite, quiet, dependable, the one who stayed behind to clean up whatever he left unfinished. Somehow, that turned into a lifelong arrangement no one ever questioned. When our parents passed, I handled the paperwork, the debts, the loose ends. Sammy handled the sympathy. He cried in front of relatives, accepted their comfort, then called me later asking if I could just cover this one thing. And I always did. At first, it felt like loyalty, then responsibility. Eventually, it became expectation. He married young, divorced messily, then married again, this time into a life that always seemed slightly out of reach. There was always a new emergency, a new reason he couldn't manage on his own. School fees, rent gaps, medical scares that somehow only required money, never presence. And every time he came to me like it was already decided. Not once did he ask if I could help, only how fast. The first time he crossed the line, it didn't feel like a line at all. It was a family dinner, quiet, polite, the kind where everyone pretends things are normal. Sammy leaned back in his chair, scrolling through his phone, and said almost casually, "Good thing you're here. I told them you'd handle the bill." He didn't look at me when he said it, just placed the sentence in the air like a settled fact. I remember the waiter pausing, pen hovering, the slight shift in everyone's posture. No one questioned it. Why would they? I paid. After that, it became a pattern made of smaller moments. A message that read, "Sent you the details. Just transfer what you can." Followed by a second message correcting it. "Actually, better if you send the full amount." No greeting, no thanks. At gatherings, he'd introduce me with a half smile. "This is the responsible one." People would laugh, but there was something in his tone, something that turned responsibility into obligation. Even his silences spoke. The way he'd go quiet when I hesitated, like disappointment was my fault to fix. Each moment was small, dismissible on its own, but together they built something heavier, something I had been carrying without realizing it. The realization didn't arrive loudly. It came in a small, almost forgettable moment. A week before that 6 a.m. call, I ran into Sammy at a pharmacy. He didn't see me at first. He was at the counter laughing, easy, relaxed, while buying something, expensive I knew he'd later claim he couldn't afford. When he finally noticed me, his expression shifted. Not into warmth, but calculation. "Perfect timing," he said, stepping aside so I could take his place without being asked. "I was just thinking about calling you." Of course he was. I watched the receipt print, longer than it needed to be. He didn't reach for it, just glanced at me, waiting. And for the first time, I didn't move. The silence stretched. Not uncomfortable, just unfamiliar. His smile thinned, like something wasn't going according to script. "I'll get it later," he muttered, grabbing the bag instead, leaving the receipt behind. That was it. No scene, no argument. But something shifted, because in that quiet pause, I saw it clearly. There was no emergency, no bad luck, no temporary struggle. Just a pattern that worked, because I kept completing it. And standing there, doing nothing, I realized something else. I could stop. I didn't confront him after that. I didn't need to. What I needed was distance and structure. I work in finance, quietly behind a desk, where details matter and patterns don't lie. For years, I had treated Sammy like an exception to every rule I followed professionally. No records, no boundaries, just trust, stretched thin and called loyalty. So I fixed that. I went back through everything. Bank transfers, cash withdrawals, messages, dates lined up too neatly to ignore, emergencies that overlapped with vacations, urgency that disappeared the moment money arrived. I didn't feel anger going through it, just clarity. Then I made changes. I separated my accounts, closed the informal channels he used to reach me, set automatic responses for anything that came without context. If it wasn't written clearly, it didn't get answered. I also stopped being available. Calls went to voicemail. Messages waited, not out of spite, but intention. I wanted every interaction to slow down enough to be seen for what it was. And most importantly, I decided one rule I wouldn't break again. I would only respond to responsibility with responsibility. No more filling in the gaps he refused to acknowledge. The call came exactly a week later. 6 a.m. again, same hour, same urgency. Like he believed timing alone could unlock the same result. I let it ring twice before answering. His voice broke on cue. "It's serious this time," he said, breath uneven. "He needs treatment. I don't have enough. If you don't help." I didn't interrupt. I let him finish, let the weight of his words settle, just like they always had. But this time, I didn't rush to fill the silence. "Send me the details," I said calmly. There was a pause, brief, uncertain. Then a message came through. A screenshot. Vague. No name, no hospital. Just a number circled in red. I stared at it, thumb still. Then I replied, measured and clear. "Have your husband contact me directly. We'll arrange it properly." Another pause. Longer this time. When he called back, the emotion was gone, replaced by something sharper. "He's busy," Sammy said. "Can't you just—" "No," I said quietly. And that was it. No raised voices, no argument. Just the first boundary he couldn't step over. The line stayed silent for a second too long, and then he hung up. He didn't call back. And for the first time, neither did I. The silence didn't stay quiet for long. It just changed direction. A few days later, a message came from an aunt. Careful wording, soft concern. "Sammy mentioned things are difficult. He said you couldn't help this time." Not accusation. Not quite. But close enough to feel familiar. I read it twice, then set my phone down. For years, the story had always sounded the same. Sammy in crisis, me as the quiet solution. Now, for the first time, there was a gap in that narrative, and people didn't know where to place it. I didn't rush to fill it. When I did reply, it was simple. I asked for proper details. I'm still waiting. No defensiveness, no explanation, just truth without urgency. After that, something subtle shifted. The messages slowed. The assumptions softened. Without my immediate yes, his version of events had to stand on its own. And maybe for the first time, it didn't hold as firmly. I didn't lose relationships, but I did lose a role. The one where my worth was measured by how quickly I sacrificed it. And that mattered more than I expected. Because once people realize you won't quietly absorb everything anymore, they're forced to reconsider what they were asking of you all along. I still wake up early sometimes. Not because of calls, but because my body remembers what it used to mean. That quiet panic, that instinct to be ready before anything even happened. It's fading now. Slowly, but it is. Sammy hasn't called like that again. We speak occasionally. Short conversations. Careful ones. There's a distance now. Not loud or dramatic, just defined. He chooses his words more. I choose my silences better. I don't ask about the emergencies that never reached me again. And he doesn't offer them. Whatever needed to be handled was handled. Just not by me. And that's the part that changed everything. Because I used to think stepping back would break something permanent. That saying no would cost me the relationship entirely. But it didn't. It just revealed what the relationship actually was. Now when I help someone, it's because I choose to, not because I've been placed there. That difference feels small on the surface, but it's the difference between being needed and being used. And once you learn to tell the difference, you don't forget it again.